So behind me there, that's the American Air Museum, which is just a fabulous building in its own right. So I'm going to go and have a look in there. You actually access it up at the top and you walk straight in, and I won't spoil the surprise, but I'll show you what it's all about. It's very impressive. We're walking into the entrance here of the American Museum at Duxford, and so here we go. See if we can give you the full Monty in through the doors. And look at that. We walk straight in, and that is a B-52, and the wing tips are right over there. 8 jet engines. These things are still in service with the American Air Force. They even spawned a pop band. Love Shack is a little old place where I can get together. And then, even more incredibly, hanging above it, A-10 Thunderbolt tank killer, and why am I going to say tornado? That's not right. It's not a it's is it F-15, 14? I'll go and have a look at the thing. Yeah, it's a Tom Cruise ship. That's an F-15. Oh, there's a Phantom. There's a Phantom. So, yeah, lots of planes. And here we are down at the back end of the B-52, and you can see this huge glass opening. You can sort of see the shape of the museum building for the American Air Force. And as we walk down here, we've got another B-17. So, and we've got a P-51 Mustang, which basically was an okay sort of a plane in the Second World War, but not very good at altitude. Anyway, somebody had the bright idea to stick a Merlin in it, and it transformed it, and it became the best fighter at the tail end of the Second World War. Fastest, the big longevity. Had those, you can see the pods underneath the wings. They're drop tanks, so it could fly out into Europe, following the bombers. These mighty B-17s, of which we're standing underneath the wing of one at the minute, and protect them all the way to Germany and all the way back again. So it was just a tremendous aircraft. And there's the B-17 in all its glory, with the P-51 Mustang above it, just for a slight comparison of size. But some shape, and unfortunately a lot of people, a lot of young lads, 19, 20, early 20s, died over Germany in those. You see the ball turret on the bottom of this aircraft, and then look here, we've got the actual ball. There you go, there it is in all its glory. So a man was strapped in there when they took off, and he stayed strapped in there. And these things, there's records of these things getting hit and blown apart, and the guy wore like a harness, so he was strapped to it, to the plane. So if that ball turret got damaged, he'd be dangling out the bottom on its harness. What a job, what a job. The tailplane of the B-52, the top of the tailplane is just clear of the building, only just clear of the building. It absolutely fills this building, and all the other planes are popped in around it. Size of the wheels, and here we go. She is a monster. More wheels. Very, very, very unconventional looking aircraft. So we'll walk down. I'm just going to walk down the other side of it, past the enormous undercarriage, if you'll pardon the expression. And perhaps you can see the tailplane up there nearly scraping the ceiling. And how it dwarfs every other piece of flying equipment in here. Seen enough of a B-52. Here is the wing, and here it goes, right to the end, complete with two engines there, another 2 engines there, and this big podule at the end. No idea what that's for, but a little skatey wheel just in case she sort of tips up. Wow, 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 wow. Oh, I'll bring you back down, there you go. I am with a very, very important plane in world history. Wow, that's a big thing, isn't it? So, spin you round. This is a B-29 Super Fortress. So this was next one on from the B-17, and the B-29 had a pressurised cabin, so it could fly way up in the atmosphere. And why is the B-29 famous? It was a B-29 that delivered the bomb to Hiroshima and the bomb to Nagasaki. So the only 2 nuclear bombs used in anger, if that's the right term, were delivered by B-29s. And the B-29 that delivered the Hiroshima bomb was called Enola Gay, after the pilot's mother. I don't know whether she was overly keen on the idea afterwards, but there you go. My road trip to Arizona will know what a big fan of these I am. So this is a Bell Huey. And it's in a bit better nick than the one that I saw out in Arizona, but the one I saw in Arizona I was allowed to manhandle and what have you, open the doors, whereas here we can only look in, but the flight deck's a bit more complete on this one. And yeah, she's in pretty good nick. So, any Vietnam film worth its salt has a few of these in it. This is the pointy end of a rather amazing aircraft, and I saw 2 of these out in the middle of the desert in America on my road trip. And this is an SR-71 Blackbird spy plane. One of the highest flying, fastest aircraft ever built. The Americans pensioned them off because they were too expensive to fly, and with the advent of satellites they weren't required anymore, but they're incredibly streamlined, incredible things. I mean, look at the length of the engine. That's the beginning of it there. And as I duck underneath the B-29 engine, out we come, the tailplane, and there's the back of the engine. And in fact there is an engine. What a machine, what a machine. A flight about Mach 3, I think, 3 times the speed of sound. So quite impressive machine. I think it gulped a lot of fuel, as these things tend to do. If I'm mistaken, this is a section of the Iraqi supergun that was built in Sheffield for Saddam Hussein and he was buying these things, or he'd ordered these things, and the idea was it was all going to get shipped out to Iraq and or even Iran, and bolted together and made into a huge gun that he'd then fire indiscriminately at people. And it got stopped, and here's one of the bits. It's a Tomahawk cruise missile and its launching trailer, and it was a very controversial thing for us in the UK having these on our soil, but they pretty much ended the Cold War. The Soviets had absolutely no answer for them, so they knew they couldn't repel an attack of these things that take off and fly very low and fast till they find their target, which is pre-programmed. So yeah, a Tomahawk cruise missile. Yeah, around the other side of the Blackbird spy plane. I was just walking out the museum, and I really didn't expect to see this. That is a part of the Twin Towers, and there's a whole section here. In fact, there's a video, I'll show you it. It's been running. So this is the American typical aircraft movements in America. Waking up in the morning, it's 4 o'clock at the minute, it's going through 5 o'clock. You can see how it starts to get busier and busier. 6 o'clock. I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but we'll get to 9/11 when they grounded every flight in America. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You can see that the concentration of flights. At peak times, over 5,000 aircraft in the air over America. Now it's quietening down a bit as it's 8 o'clock at night. Rather interesting. Top right hand corner is all the traffic going to Europe, or coming in from. So September the 11th. This is 7:30 in the morning. The two aircraft crashed into the World Trade Center at 9:15 and 9 o'clock, just after 9. So it's now 9:30, so all civilian aircraft have now been stopped from taking off in order to land. Look at that. It's now midday. Can't get over to be so close to a piece of history that we all remember. What a horrific day. I think we can all remember where we were that day, and I'm not going to touch it, but that's a piece of the building that we all saw fall. Quite poignant. Now, and I just thought I'd give you a top view of the SR-71 Blackbird. And if I turn the camera around, up in the air is its predecessor, a U-2. Famously, one of these, the Russians shot one of these out of the skies. Their pilot, Gary Powers, was taken hostage. Well, hostage, he was arrested as a spy, enemy of the state, so to speak. And in a very secret deal, the Americans got him back because they had a Russian spy whose name escapes me, but if you watch a very good film with Tom Hanks starring called Bridge of Spies, fantastic film, can't recommend it highly enough. You'll learn all about the U-2 and Gary Powers and the exchange of prisoners back in the Cold War. Here's a Fairchild Thunderbolt 2, but it got christened the Warthog because it's not exactly the most attractive aircraft. but it was built with one job and one job in mind: close air support to ground troops. So it's carrying air-to-ground bombs, missiles, but most importantly, if I can zoom in on it, and I can't, that's the wrong button. Here we go. It's got a great big cannon in the nose, and reputedly it fires so rapidly it slows the plane down in flight. What a great statistic. Yeah, the Warthog, A-10 Thunderbolt.